families, creating a lifetime of memories. Sadly, some families are denied these important moments due to the sad practice of alienation. These are families divided.
Thank you for joining us this week on Families Divided. When children's parents do not live together, there's many challenges that the children have to face, one of which is the school situation. This week, attorney Brian Ludmer will address this issue with us. Also, we will have with us educator and author Patti Howell, who will give you some tips on how to make it less stressful in the schools for the children. Before we begin with Brian Ludmer, we'll pause now for these messages.
In families dealing with alienation, communication during conflict is often very difficult. This fall, Family Access, Fighting for Children's Rights, will present a special in-person conference to address that very issue. Using and Refining Interpersonal Skills will be held September 9th through the 11th at the Marriott Research Triangle Park in Durham, North Carolina. You'll learn from experts how to master skills that can reduce anxiety, anger, and stress in alienation situations. Join Event Director Elaine Cobb, the founder and president of Family Access Fighting for Children's Rights, and conference moderator Dr. Colleen Murray as they present a lineup of highly respected experts, including keynote speaker Dr. Jeffrey Gardier, plus presentations by Bill Eddy, Megan Hunter, Dr. Joshua Coleman, Caitlin Burgess, Dr. Mark Moss, Dr. Mary Alvarez, and Dr. Sue Kornbluth. Mark your calendar now, September 9th through the 11th, for Using and Refining Interpersonal Skills, hosted by Family Access Fighting for Children's Rights, Steel Partners Foundation, and PASCA, Parental Alienation is Child Abuse. Visit familyaccess.info for more details on the conference and secure your attendance. Seating is limited.
At Victor's Crown, our focus is on you, our clients. When you arrive, our goal is that you will feel at home, from our welcoming atmosphere to our serene surroundings. Everything we do at Victor's Crown is done with our clients in mind. We have comfortable seating areas for both adults and children. A large screen TV with surround sound where clients can be occupied with wholesome entertainment while they wait. We offer complimentary refreshments such as coffee, tea, water, and snacks. Due to the present COVID pandemic, our in-person appointments are restricted to selected cases, and those are held in our luxurious outdoor open-air meeting space that we affectionately refer to as the COVID Cabana, which was built specifically for our clients to offer them the most comfortable and relaxing outdoor space available. All our other clients are offered secured web-based telemed sessions where they can connect with us from anywhere in the world.
I'm here today to speak with you about issues concerning schools and schooling that come up in the course of a divorce or separation. And these issues have commonalities with issues faced by other non-parties, such as police, child protection authorities, activity providers, doctors, dentists, therapists. It's really an unending list. And the commonalities relate to the fact that these other people and institutions just want to do their own jobs and are unwillingly dragged into a high conflict family dispute. Many of them don't receive specific training in how they are supposed to discharge their functions in accordance with their duties to the family as a whole, or their duties to particular patients or even the students themselves. So this is an area of constant refinement for these other people and institutions. And we're going to focus today on issues pertaining to schools and schooling. Probably the most common issue that comes up are issues relating to transitions at the school. In a difficult family situation, transitions at the school is one of the best ways for children to transit from one parent to the other. There are no long drawn out tearful scenes of goodbye and difficulty separating. The child is already separated from the residential parent for the entire school day. However, if there's a dispute as to whose day it is, or if people are intent on not following the parenting plan, the school gets dragged in to the dispute. Most schools would want to have on file the prevailing court order or agreement concerning the family's parenting plan so that they know who to release the child to, or which school bus or school bus route they need to ensure the child gets on. Complexities occur if one of the parents, usually in collusion with the child, have made arrangements for the child not to transition to the other parent willingly from the school. And in that situation, the burden on the school mounts significantly because they do have the court order or agreement on file. There are times where the school will get very involved in ensuring that the child transitions in accordance with the court order, and other situations where the school doesn't want to get involved and urges the parents to find another transition point. The last thing in the world anybody wants is a child sitting in the principal's office for 2 hours after the school day is over, refusing to transition to the other parent and occupying the time of school staff in the role of therapist trying to get the child to transition. So there is no consistency, and frankly, there are no standards as to what we can expect of schools beyond the fact that schools have to follow court orders. The flip side of this is parents showing up early to pick up the child before the other parent can get there. And some of the same considerations occur regarding the school's involvement, firstly in permitting the early pickup, and secondly, policing which parent is entitled to do so. The second area that we commonly see are parent-teacher relations. If one parent is primarily involved in the children's relationship with the school, they're going to develop the deep relationship with the academic staff, and sometimes their attitude toward the parent who's less involved, perhaps because of work hour commitments, though they're still interested in the educational life of their child. Nonetheless, you get these informal alignments that develop over time, and that can really impair the child's overall experience, and certainly the experience of the parent who's less involved with the school. We tend to see these more so with private schools than with the public school system. There's various reasons for that I won't get into here today. Third area that is often problematic is ensuring that both parents have ongoing access to assignments and due dates and information, the deadlines to sign up for various events, teacher commentary, etc. This area is made a lot easier these days because a lot of schools, particularly after the COVID experience, now have an entire online presence, not just for the school, but for particular classes. So there are portals and email sign-up lists, the ability to reach out to teachers electronically. Anything brought home from school can be posted to parent portals such as Our Family Wizard, or there's several alternatives to that now. And so there are all of these tools now that should make this area, which historically was very problematic, much more easier to manage. Sundays is a day of transition for some parenting plans. And what you'll have is parents who enjoy the weekend with the child and then stick the other parent receiving the child at dinner time or just after dinner time on Sunday with all the homework that is due Monday morning. That's an area that has to be better coordinated between the parents. Attendance is sometimes an issue with one parent taking a very lax attitude and the other parent a more structured attitude toward that. And the question is how it's monitored. Do you have to contact the school to get the attendance stats, as has traditionally been the case, or is this now available in an online portal for the class or for the student? Are notifications pushed out on the very day if the child is late or not in attendance? Is notification pushed out if a child is picked up partway through the day to be taken to a medical or dental appointment that the other parent doesn't even know about? Quite often, the inability to get children to school on time or at all is a very important part of an adjudication as to a parenting plan that is in the child's best interest. And so these are stats that we generally want to see being gathered on an ongoing basis. In extreme situations, a parent may entirely withdraw the child and homeschool the child in an effort to isolate the child from the other parent and perhaps other parents at that same school who are friendly with the targeted parent. And this can be viewed as a form of child abuse, isolation being one of the typical categories of adverse child experience. Choice of school is frequently an issue. So does one parent want a school with a particular specialty, or perhaps a school in Canada? We have some schools that are bilingual schools. And these more specialized schools are not necessarily available in every schooling zone. And so the selection of these schools is going to impact on the ability of both parents to maintain, for example, an equal parenting plan. Related to that is school bus routes. Many schools will allow dual bus routes for a student, provided that both homes have the child equally. And the minute you have an unequal parenting plan, one parent is going to miss out. And so this is something that is often overlooked when the time comes to choice of school and choice of parenting plans. You have to look forward as well. Is the particular high school that might be equidistant between the two homes the designated school from the elementary school that the child's been attending, or is the school in question a feeder school for a different high school? So sometimes we have to think ahead as well. And in addition, if there's a desire that a child continue in a particular school or have access to a school with very good ratings, you need to ensure that at least one of the two parents is in zone for that school, so that you're not applying out of zone with uncertainty as to whether the child's going to get in or be able to stay. And the last point I want to mention is sometimes we have the separated parent as a teacher themselves. And of course, they want their child to attend the same school that they teach at. It's logistically very, very efficient for them. However, you can imagine the alignments that would then arise in a high conflict situation. And sometimes the parent works at a school that's way out of zone, and they're dragging the child with them just because it's convenient for them to a school that's not even in the neighborhood. And so the child's school friends are not really as accessible after school hours. So as you can see, there's quite a wide variety of issues that come up just with schooling as one example of non-parties to a high conflict separation getting drawn in and influenced by the family dynamics. We're going to address what a parent can do in the face of some of those presenting problems in dealing with a school. The first solution is to be present. Don't let the other parent carve out that territory as theirs. Attend all the school meetings, parent-teacher interviews, school events, be present. Make sure that the children's homeroom teacher and other teachers know who you are. If the problem can be resolved just in the course of a meeting with a teacher, that's great. You should ask for that to resolve any issues if you're not getting full information. And if you somehow are being frozen out of the child's academic life. After that, you can elevate matters to a vice principal or principal. It's important to maintain a kind of solution-focused attitude. Don't battle the school. They have their job to do, but advocate for your child and advocate for your child's right to have two parents assisting in their academic life, which can only help the school do its job. If you still don't have a resolution after speaking with the senior school administration, you can elevate matters to the school board, and beyond that, of course, to a state or provincial department or Ministry of Education. But the higher you go, the less likely you are to get any sort of assistance, because you'll be dealing with people who have coverage over many, many schools, and they just can't get involved at this sort of level. And they will often just, unless it's something particularly egregious, back up the senior school administration. There are some advocates that work in the educational field. And if you can identify one, they know how to navigate the school systems. They're often maybe a retired principal or somebody else with exposure who can be of assistance. Lastly, and to be avoided, if at all possible, you can get your counsel involved to write to the school, which will immediately punt that letter over to the legal department of the applicable school board, and a response will come there. So that's how one can deal with some of the presenting issues for schools. There's a significant overlap, pardon me, with the issues that come up with extracurricular activities. Are you on the list? If not, how do you get on the parent list? Are you somehow being excluded from volunteering, from tournaments? This sort of thing. Once again, the people involved, and here many of them are just volunteers, just want to do their job, and they don't want to get embroiled in a conflictual family situation. So understand that as you interact with them, they may not even understand what they're doing that is creating a problem, and they'll usually be highly motivated to fix it. So once again here, you want to be present. You want to volunteer if you can. If there are issues involving the child's having to bring equipment, and there's only one set of equipment, like a hockey bag or riding gear, put in place appropriate procedures to get the equipment well in advance of when you have to drive and take the child to the activity, so that there aren't deliberate or reckless glitches in that regard. Make sure that arrangements are in place to get the children to the game, practice, or private training early. The last thing in the world the activity providers want are children showing up late or without equipment or unprepared or without having practiced, if it's something that gets practiced in between sessions, just due to their family situation. Make sure that you're not somehow excluded when you attend, that the other parent may be garnering the support of all the other parents on the team and excluding you from sitting with the other parents. Make friends with the other parents, and don't embroil them in the family dispute. They'll appreciate that. And lastly, what one often sees is if it's one particular parent's day with the children, well, then the other children not participating in the event and the child in question, when it's not their turn on the field or on the ice, should be primarily with that parent and not always congregating with the dominant parent and the dominant parent's family. And once again, that's something that needs to be put in place outside the extracurricular activity context so that that goes smoothly for the benefit of the children and the other parents and the other children as well. So those are some of the common spillover dynamics that we see at extracurricular activities. And I think that completes an overview of schooling and extracurricular activities and how they're impacted by a difficult family situation.
Thanks to Brian Ludmer for his insight on issues involving school that arise in families dealing with conflict. Well, here's some tips for dealing with children and school whose parents no longer live together when we return after these messages.
Often, dealing with the issue of parental alienation can seem like trying to untangle the biggest rope in the world. You don't have to untangle parental alienation alone. The XO Foundation offers help through empowerment, equity, and education. Find out how the XO Foundation can help you by visiting thexofoundation.org.
I'm Patti Howell, author and educator. I'm certified as a neutral facilitator for IEP meetings and an education advocate. I've been teaching and supporting the learning of students with a variety of learning challenges for over 20 years. I have 3 education tips and 1 communication technique to share with you today to better help you support your child who has learning challenges as they process through the transition of their family. First, it is the responsibility of each co-parent to make sure the school has their current contact information. Call the school directly and provide this information to the correct departments. Follow up with an email. Secondly, if while you were married, you split the parenting responsibilities that left the education decisions to your co-parent, you now need to familiarize yourself with your child's learning challenges and current support plans. Contact the school and ask to receive a copy of your child's current IEP or 504, along with a copy of the Parents' Rights brochure. You may need additional help understanding these documents and can request a meeting with the special education team leader or privately contact an education advocate. They will discuss and explain the plans with you and supports provided to your child. Thirdly, making timely decisions regarding your child's learning needs is key to your child's educational success. Therefore, be available to attend IEP, team, and 504 meetings, either in person or through telephone or video conferencing. During meetings, stay focused on your child's and the supports they need to help facilitate learning and understanding of concepts and classroom materials. Remember, this is not a time to discuss conflicts with or about the other co-parent. Finally, here's a tip to help you better communicate and support your child's learning at home that allows your child to talk with you about school. One of the best ways to encourage your child is to share a form of communication called declarative language. There are 4 types of statements we all use to communicate. Imperative statements are commands or directions, such as, "Come here, tell me about school." Interrogative statements ask questions like, "How's school today?" Exclamatory statements express strong feelings or emotions in words such as, "That math problem is awful." All of these leave a child feeling anxious and as if there's no room for them in the discussion. However, when one uses declarative statements, they just share facts observed or experienced, and then the child has room to contribute to the discussion. Some examples are, "I noticed you have homework," or "I received a call or email from your teacher today," or "That math problem looks really interesting." Using declarative statements with your child helps you create more engaging opportunities for discussion with you. By implementing these 3 tips and communication technique, you will be better informed and equipped to effectively engage and communicate with your child, and to make choices with purpose that support your child's unique educational needs at school through the transition of their family.
Join us next week on Families Divided, when attorney Robert Hoffman will join us to talk about how to litigate and otherwise manage a case of parental alienation in court. To make a tax-deductible contribution to Family Access, fighting for children's rights, visit familyaccess.info. If you'd like to request prayer for your family, please send an email to prayersforfamilies@gmail.com. Miss an episode of Families Divided? Watch previous episodes and more on our YouTube channel, Families Divided TV. You'll find a link at familyaccess.info.